Manny Pacquiao's decision to return to the ring after suffering one of the most brutal knockouts of his career, courtesy of Juan Manuel Marquez, raised more than a few eyebrows. Freddie Roach, Pacquiao's longtime trainer, even suggested he take a year off following that devastating knockout. It wasn't just a loss, it was a wake-up call. Yet here we are years later, with Pacquiao negotiating to fight Mario Barrios at 147 pounds. A fight that many believe could be a risky gamble, not just for Pacquiao, but for the sport itself. The news of Pacquiao's comeback isn't exactly what you'd expect from a fighter at his age. He's 46 years old now, which isn't just a number, it's a timeline etched with battles, hard-earned victories, and unforgettable moments. Pacquiao's resume is legendary, with 72 fights, countless wars against the likes of Morales, Barrera, Marquez, and Mayweather, all of which helped carve out his legacy. But here's the reality: Father Time doesn't play favorites, and no one escapes its clutches. At 46, after 4 years away from the sport, is Manny Pacquiao still capable of handling the kind of competition that made him a global icon? And, more importantly, is it wise for him to be jumping back into the ring against a younger, active fighter like Mario Barrios? Let's break it down. Pacquiao's return to the ring isn't for some easy tune-up fight. He's not fighting a retired welterweight or taking on a charity match. No, he's going straight for the fire, taking on Mario Barrios for a world title, with the WBC sanctioning to back it up. This isn't just any fight, this is a 46-year-old, inactive fighter going up against a 30-year-old prime contender, who's been active in the ring and is hungry for success. And yet, this is the fight that's been arranged. Why? Simple: money. Boxing, as much as it's still a sport, has increasingly become about the financial game. The pay-per-view numbers, the clicks, the headlines. Pacquiao still draws them. But just because someone can sell tickets doesn't mean they belong in the ring anymore. Joe Rogan, no stranger to speaking his mind, has been very vocal about his concerns. He issued a stern warning to Barrios, cautioning him against fighting Pacquiao. Not because Pacquiao is still the monster he once was, but because everything about this fight, its very existence, raises massive red flags. We're talking about a man who's 46, hasn't fought in for years, and is about to face an active, prime fighter in a title bout. This isn't just about boxing skill. It's about Pacquiao's health, his legacy, and the very nature of the sport itself. Sure, Mario Barrios is a formidable opponent in his own right. He's 30, he's fresh, and he's been in the gym constantly, honing his skills and staying sharp. But what's troubling is that, at 46, Pacquiao's body is not what it once was. His style, fast, explosive, full of angles, was what made him so dangerous. But at 46, the reflexes slow down, the power fades, and the body no longer responds in the same way it did in his prime. You can't just reverse the effects of age with some magic training or a nostalgic comeback. And yet, here we are, watching as Pacquiao prepares to take on Barrios, as if he can still pull off the kind of feats that made him a legend. This isn't a Rocky movie where a hero defies all odds with a glorious training montage. This is reality. Pacquiao's last fight wasn't a vintage performance. He fought Yordenis UGAS, and it wasn't just a loss, it was a sign of the times. He looked slower, more human. The spark was gone, and even though he's been ranked 5th by the WBC, the question has to be asked, based on what? Past glory? If that's the case, why not bring back other legends for one last payday? Mike Tyson, Lennox Lewis, anyone? It's absurd, and it damages the credibility of the sport. The young fighters, the hungry contenders, are being passed over in favor of this spectacle. Spencer Oliver, a former fighter turned analyst, didn't mince words either. He called it a farce, and frankly, he's not wrong. Pacquiao's last performance didn't just lack inspiration, it was a fading echo of his greatness. He was outclassed by UGAS, and now he's being positioned to fight for a world title again? Against a fighter who's younger, faster, and at the top of his game. It's a dangerous gamble, one that could leave a lasting mark on Pacquiao's health and his reputation. This isn't about boxing anymore, it's about marketing. It's about selling pay-per-views, not about ensuring competitive fairness or maintaining the sport's integrity. It's also about risk. When you've taken as many punches as Pacquiao has, the body doesn't react the same way. His chin has been tested time and time again, and while it's held up remarkably well, it's not invincible. Marquez knocked him out cold with one perfect right hand, and that shot still lingers in the minds of fans. The longer Pacquiao stays in the ring, the greater the risk of him suffering another catastrophic knockout. As we've seen with other fighters who've stayed too long, boxing isn't a forgiving sport. The toll it takes on the body, the injuries that pile up over time, these things catch up with you. And at 46, with his body already showing signs of wear, can Pacquiao really withstand the pressure of a young, hungry fighter like Barrios? Oscar de la Hoya, another former victim of Pacquiao's rise, also weighed in on this. He didn't hold back, stating bluntly that at 46, Pacquiao's best option is to rest. It's hard to argue with him. Pacquiao's instinct may still be sharp, but his body may no longer be able to follow through in the same way. It's a scary thought, and it's one that even Pacquiao himself has to be aware of. But the question is, why is he still fighting? Money? Ego? Or is it something deeper, a desire for one last shot at glory before the curtain falls on his incredible career? The stakes in this fight aren't just about the WBC belt. It's about Pacquiao's legacy, his health, and what he leaves behind in the ring. And the sad truth is, if he loses badly, especially if Barrios dominates him, it will tarnish his legacy. The headlines won't say that Barrios was great. They'll say Pacquiao was done. Fans will talk about how he should have stayed retired, how he should have walked away when he had the chance. If Pacquiao somehow pulls off an upset, it won't be the glorious story of a champion returning to conquer. It will raise more questions about why he's even fighting at his age. This is a lose-lose situation for Pacquiao and for the sport of boxing as a whole. Joe Rogan, with his usual straightforwardness, called this out for what it is, a dangerous spectacle that threatens to undermine the legitimacy of the sport. He wasn't just warning Barrios about Pacquiao's still dangerous instincts. He was warning about what it means for boxing if this fight goes ahead. The sport's credibility, its legitimacy, and its future are all on the line. If a 46-year-old, inactive fighter is allowed to challenge for a world title, what does that say about the state of boxing? What message does it send to the young contenders who are grinding it out, working their way up the rankings, doing things the right way? The issue isn't just about Pacquiao's heart. It's about his body, his age, the years of wear and tear that have taken their toll. The hundreds of rounds, the brutal training camps, the miles of running, the sparring wars that fans never saw those things matter. They add up, and at 46, the body can only handle so much. It's a gamble, and it's one that Pacquiao may not win. It's also a gamble that threatens to tarnish boxing's reputation and bring further chaos to a sport that's already in desperate need of clarity and integrity. But here we are, with the fight scheduled, the promotional machines kicking into overdrive, and the world watching. Fans are divided. Some still believe in Pacquiao, in his ability to defy the odds one last time. Others are worried about the consequences. What will happen if Barrios lands that one clean shot? What if Pacquiao isn't the fighter he once was, and the damage is irreparable? There's no easy answer, but the stakes are higher than any belt or title. This is about legacy, health, and the very soul of boxing itself. In the end, this fight represents much more than just another bout. It's a statement about the sport, about the lengths promoters will go to, and about the risks fighters are willing to take. Manny Pacquiao may still be a legend, but there are real questions about whether his body can still carry him to victory. As we wait for the bell to ring, we can only hope that the fight doesn't end in tragedy for the fighter and the sport. And maybe, just maybe, Mario Barrios will listen to the warnings and ask himself, is this the fight that defines my career, or is this the fight that ends it all? As we draw closer to the fight, the build-up is inevitable. The promotional machine has kicked into full gear, and the storylines are beginning to take shape. Pacquiao, once a fighter who defied age and expectations, now stands at a crossroads in his legendary career. He's not just fighting for a belt, he's fighting to prove something to himself, to his fans, and perhaps to his own legacy. His name still resonates in the boxing world, and when people hear it, they expect to see the fighter who once electrified arenas around the world. But reality can be harsh. Can a man who's spent 4 years away from the ring truly come back and replicate that kind of magic? Fans are divided. Some want to see their hero return to glory, while others fear that this fight might be the one that exposes the cracks in the foundation of his career. The pressure is mounting, and with it, the stakes have never been higher.